interfaith studies all through that time as well. So.
Tamra Wright from London, background in philosophy, especially Emmanuel Levinas that everybody keeps referencing, and also involved in scriptural reasoning through an organization called Faith and Leadership in the UK. And we do leadership training for faith and leadership.
I did at Bar-Ilan University comparative literature and research German Jewish literature.
One here.
So my name is Yehudah Mirsky. I live here in Jerusalem, and I'm on the faculty of Brandeis University, where I teach Jewish studies in different forms, and this year I've been a fellow at the Maayan Institute.
I'm Natan Levy. I direct the Interfaith Center for Sustainable Development based here in Jerusalem. I co-author a book called Eco Bible, which is an ecological commentary on the Torah.
Captain Chadier, I'm a philosopher from Paris, and I came to the conference here.
I'm Salon Ackerman. I serve at the Baharier World Center in Haifa. I'm an educator in integrated education.
Hello everyone. My name is Faisal Marjani. I'm from Morocco. I'm the founder and president of Morocco Existence Organization. We work especially to fighting against extremism, anti-Semitism, and promote peace, coexistence, and living together. And we work to promote relationship between Jewish and Muslims, and especially between Morocco and Israel.
I'm Rachel Rector. I'm a doctoral fellow at the Maayan Institute. I'm writing about the symbolism and phenomenology of water in the Jewish mystical imaginary, and I'm also a fellow at the University of Hamburg, where I work on something different connected to German Jewish identity, but also the earth concept in the 30s. Rising of Nazism, so happy to be here.
Hi, I'm Ilan University. I was a fellow last year, postdoctoral fellow last year at the Maayan Center, and now I'm a postdoctoral fellow at the University of Jerusalem, and I work on Jewish philosophy, Rav Kook, with the sun.
Okay, great. So I
one of us got
one more.
Nadav Berkovits, past fellow of the Maayan Institute, scholar of Jewish philosophy, vis-a-vis pragmatism and sustainability.
Okay. So should we read? Would you like to read for us? Bahai? Page 10.
Sure. Look at the world and ponder a while in heaven. It unveileth the book of himself before thine eyes. And revealeth that which the pen of life, the all-informed, hath described therein. It will acquaint thee with that which is within it and upon it, and will give thee such clear explanations as to make thee independent of every eloquent expounder. Say, nature in its essence is the embodiment of my name, the maker, the creator. Its manifestations are diversified by varying causes, and in this diversity there are signs for men of discernment. Nature is God's will and is its expression in and through the contingent world.
Okay, great.
Do you want the next one as well?
No, let's just do this one. Yes. Okay, anything that strikes you, any reflections, questions?
I think nature is God's will. It's a really interesting expression of God's will. And the word contingent world, right? They're kind of important. Earlier you have the essence of the embodiment of my name, the maker, the creator.
It's interesting the way it starts. Look at the world. It unveileth the book of its own self before thine eyes, and revealeth that which the pen of thy Lord as inscribed therein. So all you have to do is look at the world and ponder. Which I think is a theme also in the Quran. Right?
Exactly, yeah, I think that's what I was going to say, that it absolutely, literally forbidden in some ways expresses continuous reminder in the Quran. It's almost a refrain about pondering. So for human beings, not looking can be for all creatures, but pondering is something that's kind of incumbent on the human person.
Yeah.
What struck me was that nature in its essence is the embodiment of my name. The name. It resonates with Sefer Yetzirah, the Book of Creation, foundational text of Jewish mysticism, where God is not named as God, but as letters and elements of nature. So it resonates very much, the name of God as the origin and as embodied in the elements.
Yes.
So I wasn't here in the beginning, but when I read this, you read all this part.
Yes.
It's about, like, in the first reading, it seems like a pantheistic perspective of what is nature, like God is inside nature. And then it says nature is God's will, and it's this expression and through the contingent word, like it's an expression of God. It's more like God is outside of nature, and you can find the expression of God in nature, but not God in itself. So it's like
So is this coming from Bahulala when he says, look, how do you not? Baha'u'llah. So, but then when it says my name, that's Allah, right?
That's God, yes.
It's mean the beautiful Allah. The Allah. The beautiful from.
But who are the eloquent expounders, right? Because it's so interesting, because at first, right, because look at the world and ponder a while upon it. It unveileth the book of its own self before thine eyes, right? It will acquaint thee with that which is in it, and upon it will give thee such clear explanations as to make thee independent of every eloquent expounder. So it's sort of like the world is there to be interpreted, but you can understand it. But understand it independently of whom? That's what I'm wondering. It makes it will make, it's sort of saying that like nature, like cries out for explanation, but it can be explained. But the person to whom, and I don't know, you can please explain, to whom this text is addressed, tells you will understand what this meaning is. But again, when it says independent of every eloquent expounder, does that mean the interpreter for himself? It's a mistrust of eloquence? What is it? What's it's really interesting. There's this back and forth. So I don't, who's the eloquent expounder?
What I understand now, just my personal
Please.
understanding. Oh, maybe.
You go and then he'll go.
Okay. It's a great point. I had not thought about that much. I kind of was independent, and that's where my mind stopped. So, I think the idea that each human being is able to interact directly with nature and understand what it has to say to us without the intercession of someone who's a philosopher or something to explain and through another person.
That's what I think.
Yeah.
Yes.
Sorry, yes, please.
This is what struck me with this text, is that it does mention explanation once, but it is really less about the understanding. It doesn't say, think about nature and then you will realize this. its ontological structure and so on. It's a very aesthetical imperative that is given here. It's invite you to look at the world and to find something that the world is telling you. So and I think it's very important for me and for us as having a theological discussion in the 21st century, in which I believe the language of aesthetics can be much more relevant than the language of rationality. And in many ways, unlike rationality, that you need to go to the wise person that will explain you the matter, with aesthetics, whether you see it or you do not see it, and if you don't see it, no one can talk you into it, and if you do see it, no one can talk you out of it. So it's a very personal criterion.
Very nice. Yeah.
Or maybe smell it, Bar-Ilan, like the Messiah said to smell piety. So there's something very immediate.
Did you want to say? So?
I think it's what I find very, very interesting is this diversity. There are seen for men of disagreement. This is really to give the impression to every one of us we are not alone, and we should thinking about the others and to open our mind, open our heart to understand the others, because the others is the image of me and the God. This is what I understand. Because when
I want just to notice something, that when it's the embodiment of my name. So now we know that it has a name. But this name remains mysterious. And we can't address to this name directly, it seems to me.
But
to go through the...
But he is the maker and the creator.
Yes, I see. But it's not a name, the maker. The creator is not a name.
But maybe this is the tradition. Maybe in the Arabic language, it's for us, like in the Quran, as-Sani, the maker. As-Sani is the artisan. As-Sani is one
maker is not a name.
No, but in Arabic, as-Sani ism min asma Allah al-husna. One of the names of the God. And Musawwir, when I say Musawwir, it's photograph. But in the Quran, one of name of the God is Al-Musawwir. And the creator, it's Al-Khaliq. This is the name of the God. We have one name in the Quran is Allah, but 99, it's not names, but it's like sifa. What means sifa in
qualities?
Qualities, yes.
I was also wondering about the word, I don't know how it is in Arabic, the word look and eyes, like there's some conceptual and semantic field of seeing, zen, lirot. In Hebrew you have this doubling with the nazi, so someone can also predict something. So how does this work, this duality, if it does also in this text, like the rational and the irrational, also the experience and the knowledge, you were kind of making the separation, but through this verb, seeing, you have them both. Like it's, so I wonder what role it plays here, if at all.
Yes, I think it's, when I learn this text, I think it's 100% like Quran, like Torah, and it's not big difference, because it's the same nation of the God, because one God. He is the creator, he is the maker, and you don't care about me because I don't need of you, but you should care about you to each other. You are Muslims, you are Arabs, you are Amazigh, you are Jewish, this is the most important for me. I'm your creator, but you should make some love, some peace, living together. This is the most important. For that, I thought that and especially the diversity. The diversity, it's the God willing of the God. It's not your business. You should respect the diversity of the good. Nature, like sustainability, human, black, white, red, or something like that. This is the most important, I find.
Beautiful.
Yes.
It's interesting. I wonder if first of all, when approximately is it dated, the Maayan text, because it strikes me as having something to have with Protestantism. The idea of, because it's actually a very revolutionary thing for a text to say, don't listen to the mediators because you cut.
Oh, I see.
Right, the branch. So actually, most religious texts, Judaism included, Jewish included, would strengthen the authority of the intermediator, so the institution. There's something, as I learned from you in the previous, so I'm curious to hear more whether it's connected in some ways, Davka, actually to Protestant Christianity in ways, or just in the immediate Baharian context.
Yeah, that's actually very interesting. I didn't think of that connected to this, but but when Baha'u'llah, when he came, he was born in Iran.
Can you tell us when it was?
This particular letter, I think, was 1873. In my mind, I'm trying to think.
Yes.
1873. This letter was written, but he started maybe 20 years before in Tehran, in a dungeon. That's when he saw the vision. When he was imprisoned in Tehran. The main reason for the persecution by the ecclesiastics of the Shia ecclesiastics in Iran was that his interpretation actually of the Bible, that when it says in the New Testament that the stars have fallen, this means that the time for the religious leaders is over. Each person is able to directly know the truth. And this was the main reason. So it's very interesting that you connected it, because this is actually one of the main reasons for his persecution, was that there is no need for religious leaders anymore.
He's like the Karaites.
Yeah, well, or very, there's all these Protestant things in the 19th century.
So in a way, it's just very modern.
Yeah,
it's very modern.
Emphasizing the individual.
Very interesting.
Also, if I may, I love the phrase, in this diversity there are signs for men of discernment. Diversity is pointing you to something.
Yes.
So also, especially nowadays, sort of like we acknowledge diversity, and then we kind of sit with it, okay, there's diversity, and your diversity this, your diversity that, and I'm diversity this, and your diversity that. Okay, fine. It's better than some alternatives.
That's mean it's anybody between us have not truth. The truth, your truth, it's a part of my truth.
Right.
My truth is
That's
part of
the
his
thing,
truth.
that it's so like it's following. I mean, it's wonderful. I wonder if like you could read this whole paragraph as all unpacking. Look at the world and think about it. And it's sort of unpacking. What does it mean to look at the world and think about it? And you're like, there's all this diversity, and it's pointing you to something. It's telling you something.
I mean, this is, the sentence, nature in its essence is the embodiment of my name, the maker, the creator. I feel like this is really a very central religious ecological principle, which it's amazing to see it in this text, and which exists in other traditions as well. That at its essence, nature is is God's creation and relates and here it says is the embodiment of my name. And so therefore our relationship to nature, I mean this is by extension, but from my own lens, our relationship to nature is also about our relationship to God. And if humanity makes that switch, then the 85% of people on earth that affiliate with a religion, instead of seeing environmentalism and ecology as these sort of tree hugger things that only the fringe deal with, that no, this is central, this is the very center of religion and of God's service.
You want to say no? Yeah. Okay, I suggest we go to the Quranic text.
So in terms of the discernment and looking at in the Quran, I would say off the top of my head it would be mentioned about 500 times. Right? The same idea of, and I was looking for the Arabic text, it's a long one, it's called the Lawh al-Hikmah. That's what it's called, Lawh al-Hikmah. And so it's a tablet of wisdom is how it's described in Arabic, and it's also, again, harkens to what God has is Lawh al-Mahfuz.
Yes,
That everything
but
is
this is 100% Jewish, not Muslims, because we are talking al-Mahfuz, we are talking about the 10 Testaments of Moses.
No.
Yes, yes.
Not in the Muslim sense, no.
No.
It's the whole, sorry, but we can talk about that later. It's not.
Lawh al-Mahfuz of the paradise,
Yeah.
or with the name of...
Not the Ten Commandments.
Yes, yes.
Okay, so you want to read the Arabic text first?
Sure.
So we're on page 7.
Page 7, it's Surah Ar-Rahman. Surah generally translates as chapter. Ar-Rahman. Allama al-Quran. خلق الإنسان علمه البيان الشمس والقمر بحسبان والنجم والشجر يسجدان والسماء رفعها ووضع الميزان ألا تطغوا في الميزان وأقيموا الوزن بالقسط ولا تخسروا الميزان والأرض وضعها للأنام فيها فاكهة ونخل ذات الأكمام والحب ذو العصف والريحان فبأي الآلاء ربكما تكذبان خلق الإنسان من صلصال كالفخار وخلق الجان من مارج من النار فبأي الآلاء ربكما تكذبان. That's the refrain. فبأي الآلاء ربكما تكذبان رب المشرقين ورب المغربين فبأي الآلاء ربكما تكذبان مرج البحرين يلتقيان بينهما برزخ لا يبتغيان فبأي الآلاء ربكما تكذبان يخرج منهما اللؤلؤ والمرجان فبأي الآلاء ربكما تكذبان. So that's 23 or 55 verses of this particular chapter.
Beautiful. Okay, someone want to read it in English first? Thank you.
The most compassionate taught the Quran, created humanity, and taught them speech. The sun and the moon travel with precision. The stars and the trees bow down in submission. As for the sky, he raised it high and set the balance of justice, so that you do not defraud the scales. Weigh with justice and do not give short measure. He laid out the earth for all beings. In it are fruit, palm trees with date stalks, and grain with husks, and aromatic plants. Then, which of your Lord's favors will you, human and jinn, both deny? He created humankind from sounding clay like pottery, and created Jinn from a smokeless flame of fire. Then, which of your Lord's favors will you both deny? He is Lord of the two easts and the two wests. Then which of your Lord's favors will you both deny? He merges the two bodies of fresh and salt water, yet between them is a barrier that they never cross. Then which of your Lord's favors will you both deny? Out of both waters come forth pearls and coral. Then which of your Lord's favors will you both deny?
Yeah, thank you. So it's interesting, he starts with humanity. I mean, you might think that it would start with the sun and the moon. Created humanity and taught them speech. It's interesting, the starting point.
The word. Are there any alternative translations in the tradition for the word that's translated here as signs?
Signs?
Yeah. So the AI right?
Allah, it could be gifts.
That's I'm wondering about that because also
I would translate that as gifts.
Gifts, right?
But sign also becomes an extremely. It's ayat is sign.
Well, right. That's what I was wondering.
Ayat is sign. The gifts of favors.
Right.
Which of the favors of your Lord will you both deny?
So, right. So it's your Lord. So it's your Lord's favors.
And then it's like justification, which you have no justification about what you say. I know what I told because me or created all or make all of you and all of this nature of this universe. It's like Allah.
Il me semble que dans ce texte, il y a un ordre différent de celui de la Genèse. Parce que dans la Genèse, l'homme arrive le dernier. Et là, il est présenté le premier.
English Catherine.
Oh,
she can
speak
So, she doesn't know she's speaking. That's what I thought. She doesn't know that she's speaking French. Yeah, it's not. She speaks fantastic.
I think it's the order of the creations is different from the one in Genesis, because in Genesis, human being is created the last one, and here it seems to be created the first, and then all the different creation, sun, moon, and so on, will beg in submission to him. And this is completely different from the text in Genesis.
But why do you say that they were created first? Because it seems like the sky was there already to bow. Like, it doesn't seem they were created first.
Sorry, I did not
Humanity before jinn.
Created humanity, but then after he created him, it describes that they bow to humanity. So it seems like the things that bow were created before, because there is something that can bow already. No, if there is just humanity, then...
So what Gila is saying is that just because the human person is mentioned first, it doesn't mean that that's the order of creation.
It doesn't seem like...
Yes, I understand what she says, but I am not so confident in this, and because it seems to me, maybe I am wrong, I'm ready to be wrong, if it is the case, that in Genesis, neither stars nor trees bow down in submission to the human creature.
Yeah.
If I can suggest that they are not bowing down to the human creature, they are bowing down to God. But I think this is the main distinction of this text. While nature and special and stars and everything are going in submission, following orders, there are people, both human and genes, that are not always following the rules the other way around. They can deny it. They can go out of the rules, and this is the contradiction. You see that the world is following God, but the creatures of the world, they do not take it upon themselves.
The humans,
Yeah, but that's
the
not.
humans and the genes.
Although in terms of the creatures, I mean, it's one of the things that struck me about this, these verses from the Quran is verse 10, he laid out the earth for all beings. Because, you know, one of the features of, religion in the 21st century is a very strong anthropocentrism, that the human being is the center of it all, and everything is subordinate to us, and the earth is, we can do with it as we want. I mean, it's not just religion, it's also the sort of the ethos of the industrial society and consumer society. And so the verse, he laid out the earth for all beings, establishes that, wow, God created the world for all beings. It's not just for us, because there are other teachings within religious traditions that say differently. But here, the fact that we have it, that's like a pearl, it's like a gem of religious sustainability.
But, this is very interesting, 7, as for the sky, he raised it high and set the balance of justice so that you do not defraud the scales. We're talking about kind of a cosmic framework, and then we go right to the human and business kind of, right in the middle of it, which in a way is nice, in a way it's like, what is that doing in there? It seems to be, non sequitur in some way.
May I ask what these scales are called in Arabic? Mizan. Because in the Zohar, in the most concealed and cryptic part that is called Sifra de Tzimita, the book of concealment, there is exactly the same passage, and it's called Mitkala. And it's a description of the end of times.
In Arabic too, we say mitkal. Mitkal is like
That was nice.
And I think maybe there's a joint tradition that the Zohar preserves, where the Sifra Tzimita speaks about this balance of justice, that ultimately, when this balance of justice is set right, and it is not set right in this world, but it will be set right in the future world, says Zohar, these two waters will be again panim to panim, face to face. It's a very, very similar passage, not in the Bible. It's 13th century. Yes, but it's strikingly similar. So I just wanted to mention it.
And it came out of Andalusia, obviously.
And of course,
Right.
and also,
And it's coming up.
Yes.
also wanted to mention something yesterday that we discussed after I spoke about the water. When you said, you spoke about the Surah Al-Rahman, and about this description of God, the Almighty, as a womb. And I found it interesting that here the merciful one, is described just like in the Midrashic tradition as chesed, which is water. It's very similar. So in terms of
Very interesting. I was saying to her yesterday, sorry, just to clarify, that the word Rahman and Rahim are two names of God as well, merciful, compassionate. But Raham in Arabic means the womb,
Right.
W-O-M-B.
Right.
So the idea of the mercy, all-encompassing mercy of God that kind of surrounds everything and it encompasses everything is very clear, and it's
As in
feminine.
Hebrew,
That's
as in
feminine.
Hebrew,
Yeah,
that kind of
Raham. Yeah, Raham.
Yes.
Womb.
Rahman Rahim.
Maybe to add, all traditions maybe return in some way to Isaiah.
It's like Tuba.
There's a barrier and the connection between scales and the skies, right? These, sorry. Yes. מי תיקן, מי מדד בשעולו, it's a rhetorical question. מי מדד בשעולו מים, בשמיים בזרת תיקן, וחל בשליש, עפר ארץ ושקד בפרס, שרים וגבעות במאזניים. The idea is that there is a connection between this, about global stability and about justice in our
In the social world.
in the social world, in the economic world.
Which
There's something about you're pointing out the womb and mercy. This is something we talked about in the group this year. It's like the metaphors of moral philosophy, right? And it's often all sorts of ethical philosophers start with, I see what goodness is and I want to unpack it, right? Like, because I see a goodwill in action, I want to unpack it. And sort of some say the first Jewish environmentalist who I've worked on, what's the paradigmatic moral act? And Aaron W. Gordon, who is the first Jewish environmentalist, would say that the paradigmatic moral act is a mother's care for her child. They can decide how gendered it is, blah, 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 blah. So like then the paradigmatic moral act isn't the Kantian rationalist, but it's somebody almost like intuitively caring about life and caring about life when they're deeply connected. And maybe that's like the etymology points us to a way of thinking about what is morality. Morality of care and sustaining life.
Yes, please.
Yes, okay, so first of all, I don't understand this text so much. Like, it says, then which of your Lord's favors will be put in idol. I'm not sure what it's meaning, but it's interesting in the sense of the scale and a sense, like, first, there is a balance. It seems like there is a balance, and then there is something that you need to choose from. Like, you have to deny something and like almost break the balance. Like, I think, if someone wants to explain what is the meaning of denying what is meaning to deny, I don't understand, but it seems like there is a balance that then is denied in the text.
So I think that two levels of it, the gifts, all of these are gifts that we are not being charged for. The sunlight, the moonlight, the rain, all of that is, as Rumi would say, that has the sun ever asked you for money, right? So it's unconditional. That's where the raham also comes in, the morality.
Beautiful.
It's biological for the female. It's unconditional love when she has a child in her womb, no matter what happens to her body. Unless something goes terribly wrong, that child will suck out of the body, and it's unconditional. Right? So God's love, God's mercy for humankind, for all His creation, is kindness and unconditional. But here, so if you're denying, one of the things is about istikbar, self-aggrandizement. So you are thinking of yourself as independent, but you're dependent on all of these things. So how can you deny that? And the other thing I thought of when Stephen and you mentioned that the balance is cosmic, and then it comes down to a very mundane. Again, I had not thought about it, but that mundane is the exact mirror. So when one is not acting in a just manner, even if it's cheating on the measure and weights, one is denying God's justice. Right? So there is a two-way. And that's where, so yukaziban, denying, but kazaba is to lie about something, which in effect means you're denying that, I'm lying about the sunlight that I need, whatever it is, right? So the
No
idea of...
certitude. No certitude. Shak.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
You don't
So
believe.
you're denying what God gave you, the good thing that you
Yeah,
receive.
all of these gifts that are around, that you think are existing by themselves, and you think that they are at your beck and service, they are God's gifts, without which you would not
I
survive.
have one point very important. The good here told us, I created all of that and. But the most important you should do to be justice and to be in the order of the balance. The most important, not to what the good do, but the most important what you should do to be really good justice and to don't be like, this is not just for balance. Balance it's like metaphysics, or it's like a philosophic spiritual impression. The balance here is the king, democracy, dictators. This is the balance for him. It's our relationship between me and you. Maybe you have boutique, I am come to buy some things from you. You should respect and be justice. Maybe you are medicine, I come to you. You should be really mercy and give me what I'm looking for. This is the most important object, to be justice and to use your balance, because this is the important thing. Don't care about the other thing, then your relationship and your justice. Don't be dalim. It's what's in English?
What's
En français, it's
What is
injuste?
when it says he created?
Unfair, yes.
Unfair.
Don't be unfair, yes.
What does it mean when he says he created humankind sounding clay-like
Yeah,
fog? What is that? What's the sounding?
So, as pottery makes noise, it's as you created out of quite insignificant. Right, I think, that would be. But what struck me when Catherine was talking about the order of things, that it's not Adam, the creation of Adam. So it's very different in terms of the man versus insan. The word that is used here is insan, which is human being, or I often translate it as humane being. So he's created you humane, insan, right? So man, it's not gendered. It's not just Adam, not the male gender that comes in, but also the idea of insan is seen in very many different ways.
So I have a question. So what about the jinn?
What are the jinn?
Yeah, what role, what am I supposed to, this constant comparison, so which of his favors will you and the jinn?
The difference between the creation, you from the
Right.
earth, and the other from the fire.
I know, but like one question, you and the jinn have the opportunity to affirm this or deny this.
So these
And
are
the
the
fact
two.
that we are being put on a,
Yeah.
what am I supposed to learn from that?
I think that one of the things, of course, genie is the word
No,
that
it's
comes
the-
in the,
no,
yeah.
it's the-
Aladdin and
Because
genie.
Arabs in this time
No.
believes a lot of.
No, I know, no, of course we did. No, but that's not.
It's the question that I think it has to do with these two parts of the creation are the ones that are given the volition.
So it's not that if I deny
Affirm
I'm as
and
bad as
deny.
the jinn.
No.
Even angels are.
Also, the jinn
Angel-
needs to accept and deny.
So
These
like
are
the jinn
two-
has a choice too.
Yes.
I think they need,
Yeah,
that's only myself, I don't know, but I think that they want to say that there is more than one kind of agency. Agency is not only human, there is another kind of way to speak about agency.
No. I think the God told us our origin and the origin of jinn, because the most important personality in the Quran it's Iblis, and Iblis is from the jinn. Satan is from jinn.
He's from the
And he told the difference between us and the difference between jinn. And Iblis or Satan, He is created like that, and us created like that. This is the difference between us. It's like to give impression of the creation of universe, but the most important on all of this part is to be justice.
Right.
Because
Yes.
the Bible, yes.
Okay, yes. Oh, yes, please.
It has very deep resonances with Jewish demonology.
Yeah.
So
We have demons.
we have the mother of all demons.
Exorcist,
we have
exorcist.
the prima donna, Lilith.
Yes,
And just I just say really on a short, very short note, but I mean in terms of the time of writing, it's the period of the late Midrashim.
Right.
When the Quran is being written, and I just just from this surah, I see so many midrashim in front of me. Hashem as the potter, creating Adam, and it says Gabal.
Right, he
he
took up Alice like to
created,
work
yes,
clay.
with his son,
Consulted.
with the
He
clay,
consulted
with
the
the pastry.
He consults the angels, yeah.
And so there's really a very similar metaphor in Bereshit Rabbah of God as a potter, and of course the whole myth about the creation of Lilith and Samael, the demonic couple, and negative of God and the Shekhinah, his concert, the negative concerts, and her presence throughout Midrash, Hasidei Ashkenaz, like early Kabbalah, even before the Zohar. Hasidei Ashkenaz, for them the demons are so present. There are even what's it called?
There's werewolves.
Divorce pleas and writings, so that a man can divorce from his demon wife.
Right.
They're really present. So I just say, the demonology is so deep. I can't develop
They are
present in
because they're
early.
very Christian. Right, they're utterly, but it's so interesting to see that the demonology is moving across cultures.
Yeah.
But in the Muslim tradition, I kind of never encountered demons. So these jinns are as much a creation, according to the Quran, as we humans are. They are entire communities, and they are not demons in the sense that we understand from Western traditions or perhaps some of the texts. I have never encountered that. So there might be, some parts of the jinns may be negative that could be comparable to demons, but so also correspondingly humans also have those demons amongst us.
And jinns can be positive too.
And jinns could be very positive too, right? Yeah, but
Like
the only
angels.
difference is because, angels in the Quranic understanding don't have the volition.
Right.
They pray, but jinns and humans, ins and jinn, that's the rhyming, ins and jinn, they both have volition. And because they're made of fire, we don't see them, and that's part of the faith tradition that says you accept the seen and the unseen. So jinns are in the unseen world, but they could be around us. They might be living in communities, and then of course all kinds of superstitious things develop.
In the Quran, they
In many cultures, like where I grew up, mothers would say, don't go and pee at the tree because the jinns live there. They'll get really upset with you, especially during prayer time, because they're praying and you have peed on them, right? So you can't do that. So all kinds of, in many, many different cultures, Egyptians, these
Morocco,
stories come around because you don't see them. But they're not at least from what I understand demonology, I don't think but they're in that. Sefer Hasidim, But in terms which of is water, very early, so it's exactly this description. There are also friendly ones, and they live in communities, and they live together with the family, and you have to deal with them in a certain way, and you leave them food and water at night, and it's like
Exactly.
So this is the German pietist writings. It's early. It's 11th century, but it's partly. It's not only Christian influence. It's Andalus from Andalus also. So I'm just saying that they're also very positive. It's partly demonology and also partly angelology, and not necessarily similar to Christian. So, but we have it deeply anchored in the mystical tradition.
Okay, I think you have please to let him speak.
Okay, it's okay.
No, please come.
I will just add that even before the time of Sefer Hasidim, in the time of the Talmud, we have oat bowls.
Right.
Abigail Menachem-Bamberg wrote about it, and already there was.
Sorry, what is that?
It's like a kamea.
You know, it's like you can capture the demon in a bowl.
Yeah. You're right all around the board. It's like different verses and different names of demons or spirits, different names of rabbis. And one of the interesting things that she shows in the book is that really it's time to it's a place where we are learning from one tradition to another. Like you know names of different demons from different religions, and you see you see bowls that are for sure not used by Jewish people, but you see how it mentions especially Rav Ashi from the Talmud or some others. So this unseen world was very present already in the time and in the place of the Quran, not only in Hasidut Ashkenazi.
Does Solomon have anything in the Judeo-Christian tradition? Does Solomon have anything to do with the jinns?
Yeah.
In the Muslim tradition, he controls the jinns.
He is the king
He's the king of jinns.
Of animals, and he speaks with animals.
Solomon?
Yes.
Yeah, King Solomon.
King
Yes.
Solomon.
And in close to Marrakesh we have a mountain, and the name of mountain is the king of jinn, Shamharush. You can go this area, you will find a grove with the symbolic and ritual. It's like science of occult.
The occult.
Occult, yes. It's like that. With Hebrew, with Arabic.
Yes, please.
I just want to also relate in terms of sustainability, this whole aspect that in the human being, there is a battle being waged between the angelic forces and the satanic forces, or what in Jewish tradition is called the Yetzer Hara, the Yetzer HaTov. The ecological crisis really boils down to that.
Yeah.
Because at some level, the triumph of consumer society in modern life is because people are listening to this voice when they see an advertisement that says, eat a cheeseburger, Big Mac, that there's a voice inside them that I would say is a satanic voice, because this is not good for the person themselves. It's not good for the animal that was killed and essentially tortured to produce this. And yet the person gives into that voice. And again, so that's the crux of ecology is actually about spirituality and religion and how we navigate it as spiritual beings in a physical reality.
Okay, so I'm going to suggest we take a break.
Yes.
We've been going for a good hour.
I'll bring dessert.
Okay, and then we will. So let's take a break till 2:15, something like that, 7 minutes or so, and then we'll come back and we can decide if we want to go to the Christian, want to go to the Jewish text. Maybe we want to go to the Jewish text next. We don't. We have any Christians, Jason? Amy? Okay, so we'll go to the Jewish text.
I have to
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, everyone.
just from, and yeah, if we sit for a moment on this first one, the idea of sustainability is waking us up.
Because most of humanity is asleep or apathetic. We don't want to deal with this issue. Sort of like Jonah inside the ship.
Yeah. Just don't tell me I don't want to know about this. So it's trying to...
So what is the context of 20?
Oh, so here, this one, it's it's very prosaic. It's Abraham has sent his servant Eliezer to go find a wife, for his son Isaac, right? And so they go, and he goes in his party, and they decide that they found a wife, and they wake in the morning, and he says, "Send us to our master. We're going home." That's right, but it's just to wake up, right? I mean, it'll get more suggestive as we move along.
The man touched Elisha's bone.
Right.
And he lived and stood up by Yakum on his feet. So this is kind of...
that's, the prophet Elisha's in his grave. And, there's... somebody dies, there's people, it's just the prophet Elisha has died in the book of Kings. And, not long afterwards, they're burying somebody, and they see a group of soldiers, foreign soldiers coming in, so they panic and they just toss the body away. And as soon as it touches the body of the holy man, he stands up. And there's also, of course, the sense of resurrection. Right. And is sustainability something about resurrecting the earth?
When thinking about roots,
Roots,
I mean, like
yeah.
kum and kim,
Sure.
like for me, like all these hekim, kam, got up in the morning, etc. It's one group, and the other one is kayam. And when you say kayamut, it's intuitively goes to kayam, like to kim.
To
not
keep,
to
would
kum.
mean to kayam, to maintain something, to
Yes.
establish something, to keep it
Yes,
going.
not together.
Right.
So it's
But-
kind of different, but
Yes.
then you're right that Vav and Yud,
Yes.
the AHV letters are
And
sometimes.
And that's so interesting because I hadn't thought about that. But what's interesting is in some of these texts, those two meanings are going to come together.
Yes.
Like if something endure for a long time, also like to establish something for a long time.
Exactly.
Or to.
But they separate, and at the same time they're
Right.
kind of.
Okay. Should there appear Yakum among you a prophet, or dreamer, and give you a sign or a wonder?
Right. So that's where Scripture is telling you how to tell false prophets from real prophets. But the way the prophet shows up is he appears, he stands up. But it's also like the appearance of something. Somebody shows up. He was there before, right? He's a member of the community. He doesn't come from something, right? So this sense of appearance in the world of phenomena as they appear to us.
So we have awoke, stood up, and appeared.
Right.
There's three different.
Right.
I want to say about standing up,
Yes.
the previous one, that you see it various times in the Bible after a trouble, after a problem. Let's say when David is praying for his son not to die, so he is out of it, and then when the son is dying, so if I'm not mistaken, he's saying that he's standing up.
Interesting.
And till our day, in the end of
Right.
a Shiva,
Right.
one of the things that we are doing is that we are summarizing the Shiva. We are saying a few verses, and then we are helping the mourners to stand up, lakum. We are giving them a hand, and we are helping them to stand up. So this standing up has a cultural meaning of coming back into our orbit, into our lives.
And emerging from trauma, emerging from loss, emerging from...
Sitting Shiva is being out of the general movement and standing up on your own feet, saying that you are again part of our life cycle.
So sustainability is kind of has a kind of a future, or standing up after trauma, as you said.
Oh, wow.
And remember it, like you don't forget it's Shmirat Zecher.
Yeah.
Is there a meaning of Bayamut as resurrection?
Usually the word for resurrection is tiyah, like coming back to life. So not, but this, when you have instances of the Bible of people getting up on their feet, from you have this in Ezekiel's vision of the dry bones, also like these bones come together and they stand up. So physically it's, but also like resurrection, the place of resurrection in the Bible, in the Hebrew Bible, is a complicated story.
Yeah, because in the Quran it's that last day.
Right.
That you have judgment and resurrection. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the last day. Very last day. If we look at number 4, and this is where we see these meanings really opening up. This is like in one of the law codes in the book of Deuteronomy, right? And it's a matter of legal procedure. No lone witness will testify, but the word is yakum, will show up in court, appear in court, to testify in court. Right? You can't have just one witness. Right? You can't, no lone witness will testify, yakum, to any willful offense or sin of any kind that one may sin. By the mouth of 2 witnesses or 3 witnesses will a matter be established. Yakum. And that, again, as I was reading this, I just thought, wow. It's like, so it's to testify to something. And like to testify something in a way that has force.
Sorry, as a...
But here you have 2 different significances.
Right, yes, I know, in this one verse.
Yeah, in one
yes,
verse.
Yes, it's like...
2 different things.
Right.
Like one is together, Yakum Ed.
Right.
And the other, Yakum Davar, is a kind of,
to establish something. This matter is established. This fact is established. This is a legal fact. It has now been established. We say this is the truth. Right.
But the second meaning also has a sense of a communal. It's more than one.
Because it's a public thing. There's two witnesses. Mm-hmm. So this can publicly be recognized as an established fact or a social fact, as we would call it, or something.
I'll also just mention that in the book of Deuteronomy we have Hazinu Hashamayim V'Adabera, give ear, O heavens, and I will speak. That Moses is making the heavens and the earth witness about human behavior, and this aspect of, in this 4th one about witnesses, that in some ways the water is a witness to our behavior. The earth, that if you look at the state of the earth, it is a witness to how sustainably we're living.
Well, this also relates to, we were saying that the earth is, in the Baha'i text, the earth is signs. It's a network of signs from this.
Yeah, actually there's a book on Muslim ecology called Signs of the Earth. It's based on a phrase in the Quran, written by sort of the founder of the Muslim environmental movement.
Who's that?
He's in Birmingham, England. He's in his late 80s now.
Huh.
Yeah.
Wow.
You mean SIGN signs of it?
SIGN, yeah.
Okay, and the last generation.
Fazlul Khalid.
Right, number 5.
Who will
to come
after you? Yeah.
Now this is also where it's like it means like, so we're starting to like to I come after. I mean, so much of sustainability is about how we think about the future, right? And how we think about future generations, past, next generations, and like, you know, we are the later generations of our ancestors. And then we're the ancestors of those who are going to come. It's something in the group we've talked about, like what is our responsibility towards the future? What is, right? And how much of sustainability is enabling people to come after us? So it is, I mean, as we're reading this, and I haven't thought about this till now, it's just interesting to see like how these different meanings cluster. Do they cluster into groups? Is there like a Venn diagram where some of the meanings seem to overlap and others don't? I don't know.
About the coming generations, it took me in my mind to the Talmud in Tractate Sanhedrin in the last chapter when they are speaking about the world to come and about the resurrections of the dead, and they are asking how can we know from the scriptures that there will be resurrections of the dead, that there will be upcoming generation, and they are doing a very problematic exegesis
because it's not there.
Yeah, it's not there, so they are taking a verse from the book of Deuteronomy. It says, "Hincha shochev im avotecha v'kam," and they are cutting the verse in the middle.
Right.
So it will mean you will be buried with your fathers, with your parents, and then you will stand up again. Like in the real verse, it's when you won't be here, so the people will go out of the path, will go in the wrong direction.
Right.
But the sages seeing this world come as another beginning, a new beginning of life on earth.
But also there's another thing about where ideas of resurrection do play out in sustainability, it occurs to me. Because, yeah, like in the Hebrew Bible itself, the evidence for like personal resurrection is very, very thin. And for a long time, the scholarly view was, well, this comes much later and in the Persian period and all of that, because after all, Judaism is very this-worldly and stuff. But in recent decades, especially Professor John Levinson writes about this, he says, well, actually, that's only if you're working with a very modern idea of being reborn as a lone individual. But if you're looking at, say, the rebirth of the Jewish people, if you widen the frame that rebirth is something that's more collective, then it's all over the place in the Hebrew Bible. The people are being reborn, nature is being reborn, all kinds of things are being reborn, even if, yeah, the specific individuum isn't there. But, right, the fact that, say, in the Hebrew Bible, if you die a good death, right, the way to say he died a good death is that he was gathered to his people. Right. There's your immortality for you. And to me also, the thing about immortality is, among other things, that the earth will still endure. Right. And humankind will still. And in order to do that means diminishing some of my ego, right? It's not just about me surviving. You know? So yeah.
Okay, then you have this, over here, they will counsel a counsel. Right. And it will be foiled. Will speak a word and it will not succeed. V'lo yakum, for God is with us.
Right. So Yakum also means for something to succeed. You plan something and it happens. You bring it to fulfillment, and often that's how we say, like the word for pain is to fulfill something. So fulfillment is like there's an idea for something.
Can I ask a general question? I find it really curious that you went from the word for sustainability,
right,
and then looked at the different contexts.
Well, it comes from the verb kayam.
That kind of root meaning, which is fascinating. Up to now, what we've read, there is a certain moral part to this, right?
Like, such as?
So for example, for the lone witness, I mean, that's part of the Sharia too, that one witness doesn't work, you need two to three witnesses, and if there's a female, then you need 2 feet, and 1 male.
Right.
Up to now, I always thought that, that had to do with, yes, the idea of testifying and being acceptable. But here, what struck me also is that the singular one, which you mentioned, should not be coerced or be a witness, because the one person doesn't stand a chance if somebody more powerful is against.
You meaning so you need 2 witnesses? Oh, because...
To spread the risk of being...
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, to spread the risk of being...
because also if there's just one witness, the only way I can decide is say, well, I trust him more than I trust him.
Yeah, exactly. So, that's what I felt, but in this particular case, it's also protecting the witness in some ways, right?
Wow.
From the kind of backlashing that could happen when you are facing somebody with power.
Right.
And then this one is even more intriguing. They will counsel a counsel and it will be foiled. I need to understand that. Who will speak a word and it will not succeed. For God is with us. What is that context?
So the concept, it's a good question. I mean, I put my Bible back in the bag, but I could just pull it out.
You should know better.
I know. Well, I mean, again, what it is here, because I simply don't remember if this verse in Isaiah is speaking rhetorically or, like putting words in people's mouths or not. But here the question is, but here, like what I seized on here was, right? It's like you have a plan of action and will it succeed or not? That's the sense of it. So it's these, by the way, every one of these things I can give multiple examples of each one of these uses. Okay. This is just like I plucked one that sort of suggested itself. So yeah, again, I'm happy to look it up.
The next one I get it, right? Your kingdom will not endure.
Your kingdom will not endure. That's when
For you did not keep God's command.
Well, yeah, there it just means it won't endure for a long time. It won't be established. Their King Saul, right? So it's to succeed. I have an idea. I get it done. And also just to endure for a long time, not necessarily having planned something, but it just happens for a long time.
I have a question for the English-speaking people.
Yes.
Are there any other words than sustainability in English to express what we are thinking about? I was looking on my phone at the French, and the French says durabilité.
Right. Durability.
Durabilité. What goes on and on and on and on.
Yeah, I mean, you use the word endure. So the word endurance, which in Hebrew you might call netzach.
Or amidut.
No,
it's more
amidut. We use it also.
Amidut. Sure. Well, because durability, the word durability in English is a property of a thing. Like this has durability because it's made of metal and it has more durability than this. In English, sustain is a verb, and it's an active verb. It requires, it's something you have to, now maybe in French also, my French isn't good enough. In English, endure and endurance is something passive. It doesn't take a whole lot. Whereas at least in English, sustain is an active verb. You have to do something.
But the sustainability, what is the word is kayamut. When you use that word in Hebrew, does it have resonances to the environment for modern Hebrew, or is it?
It exists only for modern Hebrew. It exists only for environmental purposes.
Okay.
The Academy for Hebrew Language in the year 2000 coined this as part of a whole set of words relating to ecology and that sort of thing.
Okay. So, but the everyday...
It's a neologism. It's a new word.
Yeah.
And if people wanted to say sustainability, the idea, before the year 2000,
I don't know.
Well, the main word that's used for environment is סביבה, or איכות הסביבה, the quality of the environment.
לימודים סביבתיים, it's like לימודי סביבה.
And sviba sort of means your surroundings, literally your surroundings, that which surrounds you. So yeah, this word was coined. And so when it means, so then in modern Hebrew, at least in the 20 some odd years since this word was coined, it always means the stuff we're talking about here.
Yeah, because it doesn't necessarily, when I say I'm at a conference for sustainability in Israel, they go, sustain what? I mean, right. Sustain economy, sustain, it doesn't necessarily.
I could be wrong. I think the word sustainability, you'd have to check. I wonder if originally, like famously, the UN talked about sustainable development.
Right.
And I think that people thought to say sustainable development was itself like a constricting meaning, because their sustainable development seems to imply to keep on doing what we've been doing, but just do it in like a less environmentally harmful way. And then over time, again, you'd have to like look at the history of the evolution of this term, because I know that was one of the critiques of the idea of sustainability.
I know.
You know, and like the real, the deep ecologists were very critical of the idea of sustainability, because it seemed to say, oh, just go on and develop, but just like try not to be so messy about it. So the sustainability, and this is like such a great, all these three scriptures, the universe is created through words. And the words create new moral ideas, new possibilities.
I mean, it's interesting that the first two sources that you brought are about standing up.
Right.
And so the fact that the Israeli Institute of the Hebrew Language chose Kayamut also indicates that, the difference between standing, like us as, we came from Homo erectus, and now we're Homo sapiens, but a human being that is standing is one that is alive. If a person can't stand, that's an indication that something's not right, not able to stand. And so this whole idea, it also connects to life, that if we're going to have a society that is thriving and alive, then it needs to be able to stand, and it needs to be able to stand over the long term. In other words, it doesn't matter if we can create this amazing society that's, tall buildings and everything, if it only lasts for another 10 or 50 years, then we will have failed. The definition of success is that if our society can last for many thousands more years.
In the dictionary in French, they said durabilité and also viabilité.
That's great.
Viabilité.
To live. To be able to live.
To be able to live.
Yeah. Well, this next one.
In Arabic, it's istidama.
I beg your pardon?
In Arabic, it's istidama.
Istidama, right, I was wondering about that. But I couldn't figure out
stability or that's...
No, but like, what's the verb?
Dawam.
Oh, that would make sense.
To last forever.
Okay, yeah, no, because I couldn't...
Oh, that's durability.
So down.
So there is an internal side
right.
to it, but not durability, because it's in the 10th form, which means that you are enabling durability, which could be sustainable.
So, I mean, not to get too ahead of ourselves, but sort of the word, well, no, this will, because Thabet, it's like in whatever, that's like a technical, we'll get to it later, because like the way in which I think the word, the term for sustainability, Kilayim, gets into the liturgy is through a translation, is through this 10th century translation that is working with a verb, thabit, which also, whatever, we'll talk about that.
Thabit is,
right.
It's planting firm.
But anybody, well, I'll tell you what I say also. Anyway.
And also Ruth, the woman of Moabite, have I acquired as a wife.
Right.
To establish.
Right.
The Hakim, the name of the deceased on his legacy, and the deceased's name will not be cut
Right.
off from Israel.
So this is, first off, the book of Ruth is just like a party for us here. Because it's, you know, it's this short book in the Bible. It's this beautiful story. There's an ecological dimension to it because there's this famine in Bethlehem. And so they go, the framing story is that there's people, Jews, there's Israelites or whatever they call them, living in Bethlehem. There's a famine, so they go to Moab. Now, what's interesting is that lately I've been seeing like agricultural readings of this. Moab isn't that far away. It's like it's moving from like Bethlehem to Jordan. So, but one of the theories is, but the social norms in Moab were different. That in Bethlehem, if you stayed in Bethlehem in Judea, a wealthy person was expected to share their wealth, and in Moab, they weren't expected to share their wealth. And so that's why, it's like people moving to tax havens. Like, you know, all the people, it's like millionaires I know in America who are like moving to states where they don't have to pay any taxes.
During a time of drought?
At least this is the theory, that during a time of drought, if you were a wealthy person, if you stayed in Bethlehem.
A wealthy person.
Yes, you know, because the protagonists are wealthy. So because they're wealthy, they get out of town, because otherwise they'll start getting, this is like one of the theories. Anyway, so they go, and this wealthy man, and he dies, and his sons take Moabite women, and they die, and then so they all the mother, the bereaved widow and her daughters-in-law come back, and one of them is Ruth, and basically at the end it's a happy ending story, and it's all about acts of kindness, and at the end sort of like an older relative marries Ruth, and the children will be called on the name of her deceased husband. Okay, and that's there's questions of legacy and inheritance and all this stuff. But the thing is, I will be connected. I establish his name over time. There's a new child, right? Born long after the death of the person whose wife this was. But this child will be connected to this family. And you're establishing a name over time, also in the face of attraction.
But biologically, that child is not.
Biologically, that child. That's right. Yeah, biologically, the child is the child's mother. You know, but also, the father is like a distant relative of the original husband. But the idea is that this will be named part of, again, because also this is an historical period when wealth is transferred intergenerationally through these things. But it has this notion of keeping somebody's name alive over time. Right? That's what. Now, in 9 and 10, we have also this word to endorse, the same way you bring something to a notary. Just to endorse a signature. Is this signature authentic, right? Because in the book of Esther, right, the book of Esther is also the first book in the Hebrew Bible where something like the word Jew appears, the Judeans, right? Yudim, right? They are nearly wiped out. They, the way I like to describe the book of Esther is that, there's an ethnic religious minority that's targeted for state-supported genocide, and deft maneuvering the corridors of power manages to undo it. And then at the end, they decide. So the heroes of this story, like Queen Esther and her uncle Mordecai, right? First they write, they send letters to everybody. There's a lot of letter writing in the book of Esther. They send these letters out, just saying, okay, this is what happened, and this is what we did, and all of that. And then they send out a second letter, and that's how they're establishing this Purim holiday. So in the second it says, we wrote first to endorse, we send this letter, and then they endorse it. They say, this is authentic. But then 2 verses later, and this is number 10, there's a marvelous play in word. Like, we endorse this letter, and this letter tells you to observe as a holiday this holiday, right? So you have to do this, and we are endorsing this on you, and then you take it upon yourself, right? In the Talmud, this verse becomes very important because it's taken as like in rabbinic tradition. This verse becomes very important for the idea of successive generations taking on responsibilities that their ancestors took on, right? Affirming, yes, my family took care of this person and my parents are dead, so now I'll take care of this person, right? So it's both to say, yes, this happened, and yes, I'm taking responsibilities here, and also the Purim, that's that, and again, the words of their fast and their cries, because Purim is a story that has a happy ending, but it's very terrifying until you get there. Right?
So in some ways, in this understanding, I was earlier talking about, the moral imperative.
Mm-hmm.
It's still here, there is that sense of duty and value system, right?
Because, and there's also, what does it mean to endorse a certain kind of thing, say that something happened? There's a lot of arguments about, in the Hebrew Bible, the revelation, God reveals the Torah at Mount Sinai. And of course, for moderns, it's very hard. Did this happen? Did this happen? I don't know. What was there? And then many years ago, there's a wonderful writer, essayist named Leonard Klein. And he had a beautiful line in one of his books. He says, the question about Sinai isn't whether or not it happened, but whether or not I was there.
Whether I was there.
Yes. And sort of this kind of is to endorse it. Yes, this thing happened and it happened. Did it happen the way, like if I stood there with a film camera at Mount Sinai? I don't know. But I say it happened because it means I'm taking this on myself. And so much of sustainability is us taking on responsibility.
All right, you have that at 11.
Yes.
I have sworn and I fulfill the...
Right, I will fulfill your laws of justice. Right? I take it on, I fulfill it, I see it through. And then here there's another one in number 12. This one really blew me away when I noticed it.
Yeah.
Do not see your brother's mule or ox fall in the road and ignore them, surely raise them with him. So first of it means just practically help him out, he's trying to lift up this ox, so help him lift up the ox. But it has this strong sense of you're helping somebody else with something. Somebody's under a burden and falling.
But here,
Please, Natasha.
no, in contrast to the other example, here I think for the first time about Amnon, I see also animals like chamor and show, even though it's right. We are speaking about this.
No, but this is. Well, yeah. So here, lo tireh chamor achicha o shero noflim baderech v'talamta mehem.
Yeah. So even if you speak about the metaphoric meaning of it, still you see here animals when we are talking about nature. We started with
because it says them and it doesn't say him.
Yes. It
doesn't say if you see, I see Joe's oxen falling. It doesn't say help Joe. Mm-hmm. Help Joe pick them up. So it's sort of like the verse is seeing the animals.
I mean, it's also interesting here because it's actually I've been working on this intersection between Judaism and ecology for a number of years, but I've actually never gone through these verses. So I'm appreciating this, and it's interesting that in this one, because this verse in Deuteronomy as well as some other verses is the source in the rabbinic tradition for the commandment not to cause pain to animals. Sal Bali Chayim.
I hadn't thought about that.
And this is considered one of the 613 commandments that the Jews are supposed to observe. And so in our times, the topic of sustainability, it's when I was studying in university in California, one of my teachers, Stephen Schneider of blessed memory, and he was one of the first scientists to testify in the U.S. Congress in the 1980s about climate change, and this whole campaign was made against him, and he said that, we can have sustainability, but it can sort of be like a technocratic sustainability of where everyone's living in a 50-story high-rise and you get your food from some machine and all the animals are in cages and But I think a religious vision of sustainability is that we're actually in a right relationship with animals. And so I think it's important. It's important that this verse is connecting, hakim takim imo. That this you should live sustainably with the animals.
And it's an imperative.
And the whole issue of the Anthropocene, right?
In the
yesterday,
Anthropocene.
right? So here you have it in a sense.
How so that?
It's not only men, but also
Right.
what's next to him in the universe.
Right.
In Hebrew, do the prepositions that are used with the word make a difference?
Here, so in the Hebrew it would be, do not see your brother's ox or his, or his mule falling, and you ignore them.
Mm-hmm.
So either it's like two animals, or you're ignoring. Because it could say ignore it, or it could say ignore him. So the fact that it says ignore them, maybe it's indicating the person and the animal together.
It's the chamor v'shor of the brother. I don't know how you say it.
Chamor v'shor is sort of the mule or the ox, right? But also, but you probably wouldn't, because in biblical law you're not allowed to have them together because you're causing pain to them because they can't coordinate.
But they're in the road. They're not in the field.
Right. Oh, that's also true.
And they're not being made to make work, right?
Or they're falling maybe because they're carrying something.
Yeah.
They're pieces of burden.
Yeah. So I think it's about them, not so much about
Right.
the brother, but
Wow.
But still, it's the affiliation. They
Yes.
connect to the brother.
Right.
And so,
But the with him is the brother.
Raise
Raise them with him.
Takem imo, presumably, it says with him. So presumably that's the brother.
Yeah.
He's helping out.
Yeah. And the brother, of course, could be friend as well as
It's fellowship.
fellowship. Yeah, yeah. It doesn't have to be physical.
It's of course. It's,
Sibling.
no, it's not. Presumably, it's not. Well, he's not my brother. He's my second cousin.
Yeah.
And also because in a lot of these ethical commands in Deuteronomy, it says your brother, your brother, your brother,
Right.
because it's trying to
Right.
make a point about fraternity
Yeah,
and solidarity.
yeah. Okay. Then we have when you cross the Jordan, you will erect takimu these stones of which I command you on Mount.
Aval and cement. Actually, and this relates to stuff that I do in the liturgy part, which we may not get to. But here, this is like it's a different word for building something. But instead of building a large structure, here it's like I'm putting together a pillar of things. So, but there's, is there deep meaning in this one? I don't know. But it's akin to like the human being standing up. Maybe it's also building something.
Well, that's the one thing about the sustainability does have a sense of human action on.
yeah, that's
Right.
what bothers me a bit
What
because
bothers?
we are not in the sense of
No,
like
that's right.
critical thinking. Like we are talking about humanity all
Yes.
the time, but part of this sustainability is about nature,
Right.
and the stones, and
What I love, there's an important writer on sustainability, Brian Norton, and he has this, this notion of weak anthropocentrism.
Yeah.
That sustainability doesn't because pure anthropocentrism, I want my air conditioning, I want my this, I want my that. If you leave the human element entirely, well, even morally, humans are entitled to as much protection as trees, right? And also, there's something that we talk a lot in the group over the year. If humans are totally identified with nature, can they take responsibility for it? We don't expect, do we expect animals to be stewards of something other than what they need to survive? So I love this formulation because I think it resonates with biblical ideas and also weak anthropocentrism. I can say human beings are very important, but also crucially, and and this is for the reasoning part of scriptural reasoning. He says a feature, as he understands, in his conception, Brian Norton, weak anthropocentrism means that it's anthropocentrism, but it's sufficiently weak that it needs justification. It needs reasons. It has to take account of it.
Well, we can all justify all kinds of things. Right?
Oh yeah, but at least we have to justify them to one another.
I wanted, can you tell the name of this writer?
Brian, B-R-Y-A-N, G, that's his middle initial, Norton, N-O-R-T-O-N.
Rabbi David Seidenberg wrote a book called Kabbalah in Ecology,
right,
where he tries to argue that, based on Maimonides, that actually within Judaism there exists a biocentric worldview. But other writers talk about theocentrism.
Right.
That really what we need to do is put God in the center, and that this isn't, because if we put us in the center, then this leads to the ecological crisis. But when and this goes actually back to the Baha'i teaching about, that nature is a name of God, and yeah.
Who were you mentioning about the biocentric work?
David Seidenberg, S-A-I, right? S-A-I-D-E-N.
Yeah.
S-A-I-D-E-N.
I wonder if maybe we should step back and together think through some of, we've looked at these texts from Baha'i, from Quran, from the Bible. What do we take away from them for our task of talking about sustainability? I mean, is there anything that we've, any insight, anything we've learned, anything that we could take away or, discuss together? What have we learned?
So in many of the Jewish texts, as up to now, I don't see nature per se.
That's what I was trying to point.
And that's why I keep coming back to the root. Whereas in the Quranic text and the Baha'i text, nature is foregrounded in a very clear way.
Well,
the Jewish text does
not.
It is still very, for lack of a better word, very anthropocentric in some ways, because it's talking about the longer lasting of the descendants. It's talking about the child getting the name. The connection is still from the human perspective, unless I missed something.
Well, no, it's not. This is the merest sampling, of just verses with this one verb in it.
And that's why I'm wondering whether that is a good choice, because you went from sustainability for the word, and you looked for that. Right? And I'm not sure. I've read parts of the Bible, but not all of it. You guys are all the experts. I'm not sure if that was a correct journey.
Oh, that's so
interesting. Because the word qama, for example, in Arabic, that's why I asked the preposition. Yeah. So I'm still sorry, I'm late.
No, please.
But I'm still trying to grapple with that. For example, qama, in that root meaning of in Arabic, is to stand up, to be erect, to rise, right? But if you use it with a preposition, qama bi, qumtu bi shay, I undertook this task.
Right.
Qama alayhi means I rebelled against.
Yeah, that's also what the Hebrew means.
Exactly. Yeah. So what you have here is, if one were to look at the nature-human connection, which of course would include animals too, so I see something about the animal here. But this idea of nature, I don't see, and if you were to have gone without this route, would you have chosen different?
Right, no, I mean, I did it, but this is, that's a fantastic question. Yeah, I went with this because this is just the Hebrew, the word that was, and what you're pointing out, I think, is it's resonating with some of the critiques of sustainability that it's still very anthropocentric.
Yeah. That's why even the term weak anthropocentrism is problematic for me.
Mm-hmm.
You still have the human at the center. When you talk about, weak or strong,
That's really
again,
interesting.
depends on, what perspective you come from. But when you look at a coexistence, a co-living, a sharing of the same creator, theocentrism, right? If you are a believer, it's easier to have the theocentrism. But let's say, I'm not a believer, I'm an atheist.
Right.
What would be the center of my motivation? So, in that sense, I think foregrounding nature allows for a broader appeal, but also within the Islamic context, which I see completely resonating with the Baha'i, and as Rector said, it was very much part of the Midrashim, and all of which he saw a lot of resonance in those texts. What it allows for is again, lack of a better, or simplification of a manifestation of God who is transcendent.
Right.
And there is the immanence. So in terms of monotheistic traditions,
Right.
it works in that way that when the human is trying to connect to God, one way of connecting it is to nature, through nature. And that nature, destruction of that nature, basically cuts off in a very violent way one's connection with God.
I mean,
right?
like those views of nature are all over the place in the Hebrew Bible.
Right.
Like,
So
I
that
would say that
it's-
the thing that's behind all this is, like you said, Genesis. It's kind of like, and even the Quran in some ways is building on, it knows Genesis.
But also I think you're
So, I mean, that's there. And the other thing I was thinking, maybe the word Maayan. Is there a word Maayanut?
Well, no, but I think, but also what you're sort of pointing to is the extent to which even the Hebrew Bible doesn't contemplate humans destroying the earth with their own hands. The Hebrew Bible contemplates people doing things that are so bad that God decides to destroy the earth, and he tries it once with the flood, and then he decides, I'm not going to do this again. But
whereas the Quranic one says you need to maintain the balance. God's already done his job, right?
But it's always, on the other hand, I mean, maybe you would take different verbs. Like, and again, if we were to go back in time and discuss this, raise this question with the Academy of the Hebrew Language, and they decided, I mean, they did, you see, they took like an amazingly pregnant, pregnant verb.
Oh, it's definitely very fertile and very productive.
And it's very fertile, but it's not the last. But that's a great, you make a great observation, that it's not the last word.
So if I went for the word in Arabic, istidama, again, would be a neologism, right? If I were to take that and look at it, I would come up with very different result.
That would be great.
I mean, is that a parallel to kind of?
That would be, it's not.
Oh.
It's dawam is to live forever. So there's a durability
durability.
in that,
That's
but in that particular form, there's a combination, as Catherine was saying, in terms of durability, viability, but the agency of it is something that. So if I say I understand,
in biblical Hebrew, the word for eternity is world.
is
World. Olam.
Olam is both.
Olam in Hebrew Bible, olam means eternity. Then in a rabbinic period, it comes to mean the earth.
okay.
So, but there's this fusing of these two notions of the earth.
Well, that one, maybe to put them together, Kayamut,
Olamiyut.
Olamiyut, or Olam, something, because, to thicken it.
Yeah.
Yeah, because over the past 5 years, a group of about 60 Islamic scholars from around the world have put forth what's called the Al-Mizan Declaration.
Yeah.
And they chose, and the word was used in the verse that you cited, Mizan meaning balance.
Yeah.
And that was the word that these, from Indonesia to Morocco, and but it's interesting because you were talking about atheists. Well, like how can atheists fit into theocentrism? Well, from my perspective, many atheists, especially in the West, they're more ecologically concerned. They vote for political leaders.
And what is the motivating factor? There is the agency.
Yeah,
the
but
human agency is what would motivate a secularist as well. I have a part to play and I have a stake in this.
Yeah, and so in that sense, the ecological crisis is really a crisis of religion, of religious people, and how we understand our texts, because many religious people say, well, because the Hebrew Bible doesn't talk about people destroying the world, and in fact it says that God's not going to bring a flood again, well, therefore, to talk about an ecological crisis to them is heresy. That God will just wave a wand.
And the same with Christianity and what goes on in the U.S. as well. I mean,
yeah.
But it is a very primitive understanding of the text to say that.
But it's very drummed up, and it's for political reasons it's put forth, obviously with the partnership of the corporate world, right? But that view is forwarded as blasphemous, as obstructing God's work. And there is the whole narrative there, and what I'm looking for is, when you said put this together, in some ways the agency, and only, at least in the Quranic perspective, the humans and the jinn have agency. Right?
All right.
And the others are absolutely submitting to God's will. It's the human that doesn't, and the jinns, who we don't know, but apparently that's what the scripture says, also have that volition. So in that sense, I mean, this whole notion that mystics loved in Muslim scriptures is the notion that when you hear the bird, you hear the praise of God. Right? So in different parts of the world, when the Sufis go to India,
Conference of the Birds.
Exactly, and then
right.
so that's your the conference of the bird is metaphorical for the human struggle.
Right.
It's not, but when the Sufis from the Iranian, Persian, Central Asian world go to India, there is a bird there that says that whose sound is like lak 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 lak, and for them it is lak al hamd, lak al mulk, lak al shukr. So it is, the bird is constantly saying, these are the prayers that we say all the time.
In the conference too.
Yeah, exactly. So to you, God is all praise. To you, God is, all everything, and it is your dominion. So that idea of lakal mulk. So whether it's the rain falling down, whether the leaves bristling, that is the prayer of the tree. That's
I'm just thinking of Islam and the Arab nations. In some way, because Islam didn't have the Enlightenment, I always used to look at it as pure. But in the other sense, the whole basis of the carbon fuel economy is oil, which is owned by these Arab Shiite nations.
You're not.
So in a way, if you can't, Islam is at the center of this whole thing.
Yeah,
of the Arab world. Yeah.
Well, Muslim lands, not Islam.
Yeah.
You have to separate those. Muslim lands and Muslim cultures are going back to it. So there are novels that are written in the 50s and 60s just simultaneously as oil is discovered by Saudi artists, Saudi novelists that are talking about the destruction of the land and
because of the oil?
Because of the oil.
Yeah.
So it is petrofiction. There's a whole genre is called petrofiction, whether you have it in Sudan, you have it there, you have it in the desert area. So yes, and there I think the idea, more than which land, I think that the notion of course these lands, because the discovery of oil makes the Muslim nations richer, and overnight they grow, I think the idea is about what you can't escape global banking. You do not escape neoliberalism. So it's not about enlightenment. It's about global finance. It's about global culture. And Islam, in some ways, Muslim cultures, to say that they didn't experience enlightenment is also misconstrued, because they had the enlightenment way before.
Yeah, I know, of course.
Way before the
they
West
had
had
an
it.
origin.
But they weren't the Cartesian.
Right.
Dichotomy. It was not, so that's why to talk about enlightenment in the Cartesian world, the divorce is exactly, and humanism, Islamic sort of, or humanism that comes in the 9th, 10th century and stays through it, is an enlightenment which is a balanced One, they
Yes.
lost it.
Yes.
If the balance is there, the mizan is there, and there it's not a bifurcation, not a polarized world, which we get in the Western world.
And what's it,
And now that dominates the whole world.
and this reminds me about one thing you were saying earlier in a different vein, what I said yesterday this morning about recovering the language of virtue.
Yeah.
As also like a way of, I don't want to write off pre-modern philosophy as having nothing to say to help me.
Oh, yes.
Right? And you know, in the,
You know what, I didn't hear.
so like, you know, like I don't want to, it's analogous with, it's suggested here, it's the same with like, one thing I said, like one thing about talking about virtue in the environmental and sustainability context, just in terms of like resources and how we think about it, it's also a way of learning to re-engage with pre-modern philosophy. Right? And this notion that, well, anything written before Descartes or Immanuel Kant has nothing to tell us philosophically other than out of historical interest, I think that's really not increasingly I think that's not the case. By the way, I'm not sure that Immanuel Kant even thought that that was the case. And I think it's so important to try and find a way, because there's so much to be learned from, as you mentioned, right? You know, whether it's Farabi